Hey everyone, Nicky here and welcome to the Riff Yard. So this is a video about one of my favourite artists, Scott Stevens, and his band, The Exes. Now, they went on a hiatus in 2010 after the release of their fourth record, A Modern Way of Living with the Truth. In fact, I have the CD of it here, special edition actually, which has got a bonus mini CD disc in it as well. Quite cool. Never played it, but of course I had the digital versions of it. Now this band meant so much to me growing up. I was so impressionable around the time that I discovered them when I was about 20 years old. And my band, the Rocket Dolls, not shamelessly, not afraid to say it, I wanted to have that Exes sound. I wanted to create that fat riff, but with great hooks, melodies, and really poignant, strong lyrics within my own band, as well as bands like Silverchair and Daniel Johns and Ian Thornley and Big Wreck and Kelly Jones and the Stereophonics. One thing that all four of these artists have in common is that the guitar playing is great, the production is great, the songs are stellar, the lyrics are phenomenal, but also the vocalists. They're all guitar singer bands. They also have this incredible tone to their voice as writers. This grit, this gravel, this sandpaper tone to the voice. And I've always been so attracted to that. If you think back, even 10, 20 years before that, you have the likes of Chris Cornell and Kurt Cobain, of course, and even before that you've got Bryan Adams and Rod Stewart and that type of thing. So that's kind of the vocals that have always taken my ear. I'm very lucky enough to kind of befriend Scott in the MySpace days. Some of their fans and early fans of my band, the Rocket Dolls, just kind of crossed waves and cross communication over MySpace, and I managed to befriend him on social media. And I've chatted to him a few times, and he's a wonderful, wonderful man. The perils of that 2007 to 2010 time for bands all around the world really were subjected to that time of the great market crash around the world. It's such a shame because there's so many great bands and great artists that had to succumb to the time of the world then. Kind of similar in a way to what we've experienced now over the last 2-3 years. I don't want to go on much of a tangent about it, but there's some great bands from the UK that had to succumb because of that. And of course there was a lot of great US bands, and bands all around the world ended up succumbing to those times, and it's hard. In 2010, the Exes folded, and I was gutted, I was heartbroken about it because a couple of other bands that I loved succumbed to that pressure as well. What was crazy, I think, about that time is a lot of bands and those talismans that were in those bands, it all just came to an end. They disappeared overnight, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. That's just what it seemed. However, and we're going to concentrate solely on Scott Stevens and the Exes here as a kind of caveat to this new release. From then on, in 2010, after the Exes disbanded, Scott Stevens was clever. He used his contacts and he used his immense songwriting ability to keep himself relevant, to keep himself current, to keep himself busy in the industry. We need people like Scott Stevens in the industry, and they are very important people. And just because they're not in front of the curtain standing on stage doesn't mean that they're any less important, any less relevant. So he took a more behind the scenes approach. So he ended up being a writer for other artists and a producer, a very, very successful one at that. Massive cuts with some of the biggest bands in the rock scene right now, with some of their biggest hits: Shinedown, Hailstorm, Theory of a Dead Man, Skillet, Daltrey, Nothing More, and of course Scott Stapp. If you go and listen to a lot of the songs that he's cut with these artists, you'll be like, wow, the difference in the writing style and the way that he delivers songs and melodies is just so different. He's got an incredible way of delivering melody and delivering vocals. Even when he's not the person actually delivering them, it's just all in that style, especially in his production ability as well. And in the links below, you can check out my full article on this, which will also have links to not only Scott's socials, also some of the work he's done with the artist, and then you can go and check it out yourself, and I highly recommend that you do. Like I've alluded to a moment ago, Scott has this incredible way of delivering melody and lyrics like no one else does. He's able to build guitar parts and production in and around the most important part of the song, the melody and the lyrics. Scott has an incredible way of doing this. And just because he's not selling billions and billions of records doesn't mean that he's any less effective in what he's able to do. Now, as a songwriter, again, myself, I hope and always aspire to be able to do something like that. Be a Scott Stevens or an Ian Thornley or a Daniel Johns. These people are so incredibly rare in this day and age. And I would like to allude to something else that I really firmly believe here as well, that is, again, this another bit of a caveat onto the whole point of this, is that the world does not need more music. It doesn't. We do not need any more music than there has already been. We do not need any more artists, and we do not need any more songwriters. We do not need any filmmakers. We do not need any more films or TV shows or anything. We don't. The world is oversaturated with bands, artists, producers, everything. It is oversaturated. What does that mean? Well, it means that there is an opportunity right now that if you're ever releasing music, if you're ever writing music, if you're writing scripts, film, this goes across all art, across the whole board. You get to be the most authentic you as possible. It is incredibly important to remember that. You don't need to be someone else. You don't need to, I'm going to have to do this in order to, be successful here or be successful there. I've got to do that in order to make it. Making it in this day and age is being true to yourself and being 110% authentic. So yeah, the world doesn't need another song. The world doesn't need another record. It doesn't need another songwriter. It just doesn't. Why is this any different to anyone else? Well, because the content of this song struck a chord with me the moment I listened to it. It's incredibly powerful. Not that I want to go down this road, but being a man in the world right now is a tough place. I'm a man, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a best friend, I'm a son. There is things that come with that are very hard. They're very challenging right now. The world is recovering, the world is hurting. And of course we all know that, but sometimes when it's presented to you in art like this is, it just takes different. Now let's check out some of the opening lines from the new song by Scott Stevens and The Exies, Spirits High. The very first opening line, I try to keep my spirits high so I don't come down, even though I have to lie to keep myself devout. Are you serious? What an opening comeback line that is. Like, to me, that's how I'm reading it. I'm sure that there's potentially another spin on it from Scott's angle, but music is also about interpretation. What do you feel from it? What do you take from this piece? And this is how this music is speaking to me today, right now. It is incredibly powerful. The next line, it's hard to read between the lines. When everything starts to blur, though I'm scared I won't make it out. Then, after delivering those lines, very close, real intimate, in that real classic Scott Stevens way of delivering that stuff, it almost sounds like he's sitting in front of you, talking at you in conversation. That classic big grit, that big voice, full of passion, power, and emotion that it's rare these days. Soars. I feel promise in the hurt. Are you serious, man? What a line. And when you hear the music combined with that just very special lyrics there, it hits you. And it hit me so hard. That's why I'm making this video. It's why I wrote this article on it, because it's such an important piece. With everything that's going on, there's a bubbling, boiling tension. There's rage underneath the whole of civilization all around the world at the moment. And somehow Scott has managed to pick up that whole of that cooking pot, that whole tension, and he's summed it up in a couple of lines, and it just goes bash. It is incredible. It has really, really affected me in a positive way, because for the first time in quite a long time with songwriting and with music, he's somehow taken all of it from all different directions, all manner of any angle of it really, and he's he's captured it and he's thrown it at you, and it's made me stop and think. I feel like I've been in the room with him with this song. The way it starts, you know, there's elements of 2004's Head to the Door with the song Ugly with this, where it has that real, it's a real kind of Scott Stevens staple, this clean sound. You know, he's using a bridge pickup on a PRS, probably Fender amp, and it is crystal clear, clean tone, really, really softly played. The vocal is, like I said, it's up front, you know, it's really close. You know, it's like he drops the gears and he hits pedal to the metal and he's going, and then that grit comes out just as he's saying these lines. It's powerful stuff. It's full of anguish, it's full of pain. It's, you know, he's really wearing his heart on his sleeve, and I'm, like I said, I'm feeling that, you know, and I think you will too when you hear it. So all I can say right now is go and follow him on socials, go and follow the Exes on across all the streaming platforms, go and listen to this song, and then jump into the back catalogue that is the Exes. It's powerful, it's poignant. I think it's incredibly important right now. So do yourself a favour, crank it the fuck up, go and listen and take it all in. And what I'll say finally on this is that Scott Stevens is a very special artist, especially in the rock community. You didn't realise you needed to hear this type of music until now. Also, Scott, if you get to see this or see the article, let's get an interview going, man, and let's get the whole thing out there. Thanks, everyone. I'm Nicky Smash from Riffyard Media. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, all of the usual stuff across all social media platforms. Thank you so much, and we'll speak to you soon. Hey everyone, I hope you're well. Nicky here again, and I know this is a bit of a strange one at the end of the video, but just as I was about to post the video and the article, I went on Instagram quickly, and Scott has actually released a statement about the song, and it's very interesting, and it's definitely worth noting and putting at the end of this particular video and what have you. And I know it might be the most unprofessional thing, but I had to very quickly throw this together and what have you, so you could probably hear my daughter at some point screaming in the background and what have you, so I do apologise, but please bear with me here. So it's actually really interesting on a few levels, because there's a couple of things that I spoke about before reading this, and I'm absolutely bang on the money with some of it. It's actually quite interesting. Statement reads from Scott Stevens' Instagram profile that says, to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the Exes album Inertia, which came out January the 7th, 2003, and to honour the fans that have kept listening to the music through the years, I felt it was a right time to celebrate something new. Spirits High was born in the pandemic, and I called it my diary song. It was my private thoughts and feelings on a new way of living that took its toll on me. I, like many, had to learn to cope with this new existence. When the song first revealed itself to me, it had the vibe of something that the Exes would write circa 2005's Head for the Door era. Now that's really interesting, really, because that's exactly what I was saying in the reference track to it. So with Ugly from that record. And to continue on, it says, I found that comforting. But going back to what I left behind wasn't easy. To find my voice again took time, as it had been 16 years since the Exes put any new music out. This new chapter was 2.5 years in the making. Ultimately, the song is about that you are always where you are supposed to be, even when you question it. See, again, that's a really powerful piece there. With all this said, I'd like to take a moment to dedicate this to David Walsh. May he rest in peace. He was such an integral part to the songs of the band. David, I'll love you forever, my brother. You are part of the road that has led me to here, and I'll never forget you. To Freddie and Dennis, thank you for the brotherhood, love and collaboration as we took it to the mountain together. Those were some of the best days of my life. Also to Chris Skane, Tom Sullivan, Isaac Carpenter, and Hoss Wright, to their talents and collaboration on albums 1 and 4. I love you. And then he goes on to say just to hit the link in his bio and then to go and check out the song. But I just really I thought it's exceptionally important to kind of read that, because the vibe that I got from the song and what I emotionally connected to was very close to his initial seed of the idea. and also my reference to where the song came from. I thought that was important to kind of tie that together. So anyway, thanks for putting up with the very flattering angle of me and what have you. And I really hope you're enjoying the band and the latest track. Take it easy. Huge love.